back to Boston now, or heading to Boston for the first time. I don't know why I keep saying heading back, but what do you think? What do you think the Celtics need to do at home to keep momentum? Because they already got a game on the road. I mean, I think that can't be overlooked in these series
No.
when the Warriors are supposed to win games 1 and 2. That's what's supposed to happen, and they already didn't. They only got away with one. The series is tied now, so Boston technically has the advantage now, or they get home court back from the Warriors, even though they obviously start the series without it. They have a chance here to go up 2-1, and then have another game at home to go up 3-1. This is a big moment for Boston in the series. What do you think they have to do at home to take back the series lead?
They have to do one thing well to win this game 3 and go up 2-1, takes the advantage in the series. They can't get killed in the third quarter. They've lost in the first 2 games. They lost the third quarter 73-38 combined. We know the Warriors are historically great in the third quarter. They come out firing. And this game, they pretty much ended the game. It was 35-14, a 3-touchdown win for the Warriors in the third quarter. That can't happen if the Celtics want to win. They can't get killed. They could lose the third quarter by 5 or 6 points maybe and still come back in the fourth, with the home crowd behind them. But they can't lose the third quarter by 20 points in another game where they're going to be down 2-1 because the Warriors know how to come out of the locker room and get fired up, and they know how to play intense defense to get points up on the board. Boston has to respond if they want to win.
Yeah, and that's what happened in Game 1 too, right? I mean, it was a close game at halftime, just like Game 2. The Warriors outplayed them significantly in the third quarter, just like in Game 2. But the Celtics outscored them 40-16 in the fourth quarter of that game. And it was just, we know that it was, whether you want to call it luck or not, it was the shots from Horford and Derek White that kept them in the game and ultimately led to a win there in that fourth quarter. So it is possible. They have done it before. They've gotten demolished in the third quarter and been able to rebound there at the end. But in Game 2, they weren't able to do it. And that was the reason why they lost. And the Warriors, like I said before, were able to sit Curry the whole fourth. He only played 32 minutes in this game. I didn't think Curry was going to be able to play less than 40 minutes in this series for them to win. And they won convincingly without him.
Yeah.
So it clearly shows that it can go either way. But at home, like you said, it's an opportunity for them to have that momentum down the stretch and to keep it. And even if they get outscored in the third quarter, they do have a chance to still win the game there in the fourth.
Yeah, the Warriors won the third quarter in Game 1, 38-24. Then the Celtics won the fourth, 40-16. That was just an anomaly, that quarter. I don't think we're going to see a quarter like that again. Seeing 7 straight threes. But Boston, who do you think is going to, if the Celtics are going to win Game 3, Will, who do you think would be the unsung hero? Because there's always some role player that goes off. I know we had the Derek White game already. Maybe the Horford. Is it going to be Payne Pritchard? Is Marcus Smart going to have a good game? Who do you think is sort of going to be the unsung hero if the Celtics are going to win Game 3? Is it Grant?
I would probably go Grant. I think you need a bench player because if Smart has a good game, which is also possible, and he's going to be out there with the starters, he's part of their big three, really. He's their third best player if you want to look at it that way. So he almost has to at least play well. He doesn't have to go off, but
he scored 2.
He's going to have to be solid.
He can't score 2 points again in a finals.
Right. Yeah, so if somebody's going to go off, if somebody's going to be a surprise and be that player that we don't expect, it's going to have to be Grant Williams because he has had some of the biggest games in this playoffs when they needed him the most. In Game 7 against the Bucks, obviously, I think he tied the record for most threes in a Game 7. So he clearly has the ability to be that player off the bench, to be that six-man spark, and to play as well as possible. But in Game 1, he was awful, and he had 0 points in Game 1, and they were still able to win. So I don't know. It's very strange the way the Celtics team is constructed. They have players on their team that used to play a ton, like Daniel Tice. He used to start. He used to, be a huge factor, and he's just not going to be used in this series.
He's unplayable. Yeah.
Robert Williams is the same way. So I don't know. It does seem like they have a very strange rotation here going. But yeah, I think it's going to be a player like Grant. Derek White already had his game. It's going to be a player like that if they're really going to be successful.
Yeah, I just don't think you could beat the Warriors team playing 2 slow centers at once when the Warriors go small. Like, they can't play Tyson Time Lord or Tyson Horford. Like those minutes get killed as we've seen through the first two games by the Warriors' athleticism and just getting open shots. They're just too slow to contest them. So I don't know how Boston's gonna have to figure that out. Because these players aren't good enough on offense clearly to make the Warriors pay for going small, like having Draymond or other people on the court at center. So Celtics are gonna have to adjust definitely.
What do we think about the play of Curry so far? Because obviously his performances in the finals it's been the storyline kind of throughout his career. No finals MVPs, obviously. Everybody talks about it. He had 34 in game 1, 29 in game 2. He's been great. He's been consistent and been the best player on the court, obviously. Are we overlooking him so far in the beginning of this finals? Has Derek White and that whole thing stolen the show at the beginning, and then in game 2, it really was just more of a much more typical game? But what do we think about the play of Curry here so far?
He is definitely the favorite for Finals MVP. He's obviously the best player on the floor. Okay, Tatum scored 10 in game 1. Curry, if they want to win this series, he has to keep this pace up. I think he played better in game 2 than game 1 watching it. Even though he scored 5 less points and he had the insane first quarter we all saw, hitting like 5 threes and scoring 21. But I feel like he didn't only look for threes in game 2. I feel like he was dribbling, he was creating more, he was looking for his teammates more when he drove to the basket. I feel like he just wasn't settling. I feel like he settled a lot in the second half of game 1. In this game, I feel like he just decided to keep dribbling around, keep trying to find someone open, and eventually he would. He was just directing more traffic. So I personally think if he plays more like he did in game 2, I feel like the Warriors are just going to be unstoppable, because obviously the three-point threat will always be there, as we saw at the end of the third quarter, hitting those 2 monster deep threes that kind of give them all the momentum they needed. But I feel like him just penetrating more on when there's mismatches, it got them like Looney free dunks, it got Poole open shots, it got some of the other guys involved. It got Draymond some layups. So I feel like he needs to keep penetrating and not just shoot a 3 off a screen every play, because that will always be there with his talent.
Yeah, that 1-3 at the end of the third where it was like fading on the wing, and I think he made it 79-64 at that point, and then from then
the game
on,
was over then. Yeah,
the Celtics were stuck at 64 until like 8 minutes to go in the fourth. They barely even scored at all in that whole stretch. So that was the moment where it was like, okay, this game's probably over.
There in the Bay, the Warriors have never fallen behind 2-0 in a series. Trying to
was that your screen?
I don't know. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all good. But I think Curry just needs to play like he did in game 2, even though he technically didn't score more, but I thought his impact was greater. And he did hit that fading 3 off of Derek White, so he gave him a little payback after the game 1 BS. And then Poole hit 2 ridiculous threes. So, and Jordan Poole, we should give him a little credit. He did play much better this game. He played so stupid, I feel like, in game 1. He tried playing like Curry, but he's not Steph Curry. He just took a bunch of deep threes immediately. Like, he needs to penetrate more. He's really the team's second ball handler behind Curry. Like, Draymond dribbles a little bit. Clay doesn't really want to dribble that much. Wiggins is okay, but Poole has such a burst to him when he dribbles and crosses over. He needs to keep penetrating more, not settle for those deep contested threes. I think he did a better job of that in game 2, where he just drove to the basket and kicked it to someone or shot a layup. So if they get game 2 Poole moving forward in game 2 Curry, I don't see how this Warriors team honestly loses another game if they continue to keep playing like that. And with Draymond's defensive intensity in game 2, Gary Payton, all they need is just Clay to hit a few more shots. And I think Wiggins only had 11 this game, but he played fine. I don't have any complaints about him. He hit his shots when he needed to, and he played fine defense on Tatum. He made it not so easy at some points in the game.
That's another thing you could say about Golden State with their experience, is that they have the ability to sort of mentor these young players throughout the series.
Yeah.
Like Poole, he had a bad game in game 1 probably because he was nervous, because it's his first finals appearance. There's the pressure on him. He knows he's one of the best players on the team that's going to need to play well, and he struggled in that game. But in game 2, Draymond probably talked to him. Curry, they probably were in the locker room. There's that ability there to sort of shape their games as the series goes on, and get them that experience and give them those teaching moments that the Celtics they're not going to have, and they're going to have to learn on the fly without that leadership and without the players with the finals experience. So that's, I guess, another advantage you could look to for Golden State, where they're the top of their team with Curry and Draymond, and their leaders are going to be able to help out these young players as the series goes on.
Yeah, this is Wiggins' first finals appearance too. And Poole, like, he just got outplayed by Derek White in game one. Like, he can't that can't happen if they're gonna win the series. Like, the Celtics don't really have any good bench players, and the Warriors have the clear advantage in talent with Poole on the bench. So Poole just has to do his thing, play smart. He can't take dumb threes. He can't, especially on the road, because they're not gonna get more calls. Everything's gonna be against the Warriors when they move to Boston. So he just has to play with his head up and just take the smart shots and make the smart plays if they're going to win Game 3 in Boston.
I saw people talking about the refs in this game, how the NBA couldn't let their Warriors go down 0-2 without the refs playing, but they won by 30 points. So I don't really see how that's a thing.
Yeah, in the first half, I feel like the Warriors did get some calls, but I don't know. They were missing a ton of layups. The Warriors are really making me mad watching them in the first half because they missed like 7 point-blank layups, and they did get some generous calls. The Gary Payne missed dunk attempt was definitely not a foul. He didn't even get touched by Jaylen Brown. If you remember seeing that in the first quarter when he came in, that was obviously not a foul. But I mean, the Celtics can't really complain about the refs. When you turn over 18 times, it seemed like every time they dribbled into traffic, they lost it. I mean, that's not the refs' fault, and the Warriors just capitalized on those with some transition threes. So, I mean, Draymond, I don't think he should have been ejected for that other thing on what he had his scuffle with Jaylen Brown, but Draymond's got to chill out because they can't lose him for a game, because if they lose him, he's one of the heart and souls of their team. That would definitely be a big loss. I don't know who would be able to replace that defensive intensity and that passing ability of his. So I don't know, Draymond, he really shouldn't be doing stupid things like that. He got lucky, but he's lucky that the NBA wanted the Warriors. They didn't want one of the important Warriors players to get suspended and just have the Celtics go 2-0, because I mean, the Warriors are just more marketable in every way. I think the NBA kind of won. Their dream scenario would probably be the Warriors winning the championship, because Curry and all these all-time greats, and Curry's just one of the most famous players in the world. So, but I don't think the refs had like a crazy factor. The Celtics just played bad after in the third quarter, and they just shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, it was close at half. I mean, there was
a
no
2-point game, I think, or 4-point game.
Yeah, it was very even, and then it was that third quarter that was the reason. I mean, the refs aren't going to be able to make the Warriors outscore them by 20. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, the offense for this game, it was super even. Both teams hit 15 threes. The Warriors outshot them from the line. They had 14 free throws. The Celtics had 13. The Celtics out-rebounded them by 1, 43-42. The Warriors out-assisted them by 1, 25-24. But it was the defense that was the difference maker. They had 15 steals, Golden State. They forced 19 turnovers. They almost doubled their points off turnovers. And they also dominated the paint, 40-24 points in the paint. So it really was just the transition game and the defense that, for the Warriors, was the reason why they won. 88 points, like you said, not going to cut it against Golden State in the NBA Finals.
Yeah, and the Celtics shot 37% from the field. They were really bad on two-pointers. They shot 40 from three, but they just did not play well shooting twos. And, I mean, I do expect Boston to play much better at home, but I don't know. Who do you think will win Game 3, Will? Game 3 in Boston. Boston opened up as a 3-point favorite. It shifts to Boston. They've been a better road team, though, this entire playoffs. Do you think they lay an egg, or do you think they get their act together and smart, and some of the role players play better and they beat Golden State?
Yeah, wow. Picking Game 3 is really, really difficult, because it's gonna depend on what you think about Game 1. Do you think that was a fluke, or do you think the Celtics have the ability to play that way again? Because they're going to have to correct the third quarter problem. They're not going to be able to score 40 points in the fourth to win every time. I think I'm going to go Golden State in Game 3. I think they have them. I think they're sort of starting to figure out the game plan. They know Boston is shallow. They're going to let Tatum get 30. They know that works, and they can still win. They just got to limit the rest of their team, and they have the ability to blow them out. So I think I'm going to go Golden State here. as they continue to figure things out. Clay's probably going to play better. He's not going to have 11 again every time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think the Warriors will take it here for Game 3.
Yeah, I think the first game, the Warriors were dominating through the whole game, and then the fourth quarter, they kind of just lost it. That was sort of a feeling out game, how to defend Boston, but now with Gary Payton back, and I feel like the Warriors are just, Boston's a good team, but not a great team, as we've seen. They're inconsistent. The Warriors, they've been pretty consistent through this whole finals. They've been the better team. They've been the better team through 2 games, despite it being 1-1. I think they know what they're doing, and I agree. I think they'll win Game 3 pretty close. I think they'll win by like 5 or something. It's gonna be a lower scoring game, I think. I don't think both teams are gonna crack like 110 or anything, but I think the Warriors figured out how to defend Boston, as you mentioned, just letting Tatum do his thing and just keying on the other guys. And the Warriors have championship pedigree. I'm gonna trust them to steal a road game here, and I think they go up 2-1.